Hi, I'm Anthony, and this is Bob Barker, and today we're going to show you how to set up your table saw, that way you can get the most out of it. So let's get started. Alright, so let's talk about why we need to do these adjustments. Now, just out of the box, everything on it is a little bit off. Now, it is good enough to get, basic projects done, but those small errors will just be kind of compounded over time, especially with bigger projects, and it's going to make everything a little bit more wonky and difficult to, fully assemble whatever you're making. I don't know about you, but I can find a ton of ways to mess up my own projects. I don't need my tools adding to it, so you want to make sure that everything is adjusted when you get started. All right, so one thing to consider is not only setting up your table saw, but where you're going to use it. When I first got this one, it came with a stand, which was okay to use, but it is night and day to have this table to use with it. It makes it so much easier to have a big outfeed table. So, if you do like this, I have a video on the build for this workbench, so check that out. All right, so now getting into setting up your table saw. The first adjustment is to make sure your blade is 90 degrees to the table. Now, it doesn't matter if this whole thing is level or not, it's just really the relationship between these two. So quick and easy way you can do it is you just get a square and you butt it right up to your saw, and you see, is it nice and lined up? And you want to avoid placing it on the teeth of the saw blade because those kind of angle off to the side a little bit, and it can throw off your squareness a little bit. And another way you can make it a little bit more accurate is you get just a flashlight and you put it from the back, and then you can see if there's light coming through the cracks here. And it kind of just makes it a little visually easier to see. Now, and that's a quick and easy way. But my favorite way to do it is with the digital angle finder. And this has a magnetic base, so it will stick to your blade. So what you do is you just put it down on your tabletop. It's one button to zero it out, so it's going to have 0 degrees on your tabletop surface. And then you just put it right up against your blade and check, is it 90 degrees? Mine definitely was not when I first got it. So you do have to adjust it, and it's really easy. For this one, you just loosen this and you can move this back and forth, which is also how you make your different angled cuts anyways. But one thing I would mention is don't trust these numbers down here. Because my 0, which is supposed to be 90 degrees at the top, it was definitely off. And so I had to change my hard stop over here to get it to 90 degrees, so it's a little bit positive. So don't rely on these. You do want to check and with a different way to make sure it's right. Adjustment number 2, you're checking to make sure that your blade is parallel to your miter slot. Now this one, just like all the other ones, there's a million ways to check these things, but the whole purpose of this one is you're basically just making sure it's parallel. So the easiest way is you're checking a spot on your blade to the slot, and you're measuring that, and then you move it to the back and you measure it from the back end of it to the slot and make sure that those measurements are the same. If they're off, that means this isn't truly parallel. It might be skewed one way or the other, and you have to adjust it. So one quick and easy way to check is just to get a combo square, and you put it right, butt it up good against this slot, nice and firm. And then what you want to do is, just get a pen. I already marked this. You just mark the tooth on your blade, and you put it right there, and you adjust it just so it just barely rubs the edge of that blade right here. And then you move that blade to the back, same thing, nice and firm, and then you check again. And you're feeling for that same amount of rub. If it rubs harder, that means it's skewed in this way. If it doesn't rub, that means it's skewed in that way, and then you gotta adjust. Now that's a quick and easy way. It's not the most accurate, but it will get the job done. All right, so another way to do this is to use a dial indicator gauge. And this is a jig I just threw together really quick. It actually would be better to have an adjustable jig. So, if you're interested, just let me know in the comments and I can make one, kind of make a quick little video for it and kind of show you guys how to make it. Or, if you don't have the time, you could always just buy one. So for this one, I just have a runner and my dial indicator gauge mounted right here. So you put that into the miter slot. And then you want to make sure there's a little bit of play in this, that way it can move back and forth. And then you take the blade that you had marked and you put it right on your dot. And then you zero that out. And then you move that all the way to the back. And you put it right back on the dot. And that'll let you know if there's any difference in the measurement. So, you know, positive or negative. If it's positive, it's this way. If it's positive, it's this way. If it's negative, it's tilted this way towards the back. So then you got to adjust it. So this will get you probably the more accurate measurement. And to adjust it, it gets a little bit tricky because there's some bolts on the inside of this, so you kind of remove a few pieces. But since, you know, there's so many different table saws, it'd be better just to kind of go over with your owner's manual to see exactly how to adjust that one. But this will let you know where, if it needs to be adjusted. And I would also mention that there's another way to get it even more accuracy out of it is basically finding something that's going to extend the measurement. Because, you know, the blade is only so wide. If you get something that comes out farther, it's going to exaggerate the error a little bit better. So what you could do is you could just get a piece of wood. Now that's a 5/8 inch arbor, so just drill a 5/8 inch hole in here. And then you would basically just kind of take this off, take off the blade and mount this to your arbor. And then when you're doing like the dial indicator gauge, you know, you'd be doing it up against this piece of wood right here. So you can see like from here, it gives you a few more inches or even longer if you want. And then when you move it to the back, the same thing, it gives you even a farther distance out here that you're measuring it. So like I said, it just exaggerates any error in there. So it gives you even more of an accurate measurement of how to adjust it. All right, and now a third way to do this, actually you just get any piece of wood that fits nice and tight in your miter slot. And this one is very similar to the combination square method. So basically you get this, and then you get like, say, a wooden dowel. We'll just pretend this is a wooden dowel. And then you want to cut it down to it's nice and kind of firm against your blade here. So it's just like with a combination square where it's just barely rubbing. And then you move this to the back and you do the same thing. And that will give you, you know, a good rough guide, just like how the combination square does. So like I said, there's many ways to do it, but either way, that is a very important measurement because you want to make sure it's not too wonky, because then you run the risk of pinching the blade and causing kickback, and you don't want that. All right, so adjustment number 3. You want to check to make sure that your blade is parallel to your fence. And he's inspecting it very carefully. Yes, I see. And so one quick and easy way to do it is just remove your riving knife and then just butt it right up against there, and then you can see, is it nice, is it nice and tight? So that'll kind of give you a quick and easy way to check it. Now another way to do it, which is what I actually did too, is you just get your dial indicator gauge, flip it around, then lock your fence into place, zero it out, measure it here, and then move it to the back of your slot, and then check the measurement. And, you know, is it 0 across? And these ones are easy to adjust. You got this bolt right here in front, and then you can just loosen that, and then you can adjust it. Now, there's bolts on both sides, but I would definitely recommend only moving one and just doing little tiny micro adjustments, because as you do it, it tends to skew it a lot, and you're gonna have a hard time if you try to do both at once. So just loosen one and just do a little fine tuning, then you get that nice and 90 degrees. Okay, so adjustment number 4. I would definitely recommend checking your riving knife. It's even better if you have the splitter and the blade guard on there, but if you're just using the riving knife, you want to make sure that it's nice in line with your blade. When I got mine, it was totally skewed off to the side. So basically, you can just do a visual check and check, is it nice and in line with it? If not, for mine, there's just a couple like bolts down here that you use an Allen wrench to adjust, and as you're adjusting it, you can kind of see it shift, so it's easy to line up. And that's the basic adjustments that you need to do to get started and make some good cuts. So I hope that helped, and I hope you guys liked the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Right, Bob Barker?